Hey guys, my name is Jared Freeland and I am a channel. What that means is that I have developed the ability to tap into higher sources of knowledge. I can communicate with archangels, I can communicate with light beings, I can communicate with ascended masters and other enlightened beings and bring through for extended periods and with fluency the wisdom, the guidance, the answers, the love, the new perspectives that they're offering with incredible transformational power if the techniques that they teach are applied, if the advice is taken, if it's absorbed, if you can realize what they have to say to you and make it real in your own life. And I gotta say, it's the most fun, the best feeling, the most satisfying, the most helpful work I've ever done. It's by far the highest value that I have for humanity. I've always wanted to help people, as so many of us do, and I've found a lot of different ways to do it, but this is the best. You have found something great here. If you're here, it's for a reason. If you're excited about this at all, if you're intrigued at all, it's for a reason. There's going to be something here for you. And before I get into the channeling, I'd like you to know a little bit more about me. Seems like the thing that we do when we meet each other, so I'll introduce myself. As I said, my name's Jared. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. I moved to Gainesville, Florida to go to school. I have an art degree, and I got out of art school from UF, and I worked in that arena for a while, and I liked what I was doing, but it was frustrating because it seemed no matter how good I got at it, I didn't get to help anybody. I wasn't helping people. I had a few different sources of inspiration, and I met a spiritual teacher who asked the simple question, what would you do if money wasn't an object? What would you do with your life? I said I would get a suit of armor, I'd ride around on a horse, and I would help people. And turns out that's not as easy as it sounds, but you know what I found that felt similar at the time was being a firefighter and a paramedic. So there was something about pulling people out of a burning building and aiding them that really called to me, and so I dove headlong into that. I never got to fire school. I became a paramedic. I worked at a highly overtrained, very small emergency system, and it was, again, satisfying. It really let me dig my mind into it. There was a lot to learn. I tried my best to be the best, and I got close. But again, I kept running into this feeling that I wasn't helping anyone in a very permanent way. You'd be surprised how unlikely it is to actually save a life of somebody who didn't bring their own illness on themselves. At least that's the way it felt at the time. So it was unsatisfying to patch somebody up and then see them recurring with the same problems over and over. I wanted to help people in a more permanent way. I was all set to go to medical school when I met a man, an incredible man, who is a hands-on healer, not in the esoteric way that you might be thinking. It's a mechanical work that he does that technically falls under the heading of massage, and it's a reprocessing of adhesions in the tissue. Doing that work, I am able to, or I was able, I still do it, but to help people in a more permanent, more effective way, where they could lay it out on the table for an hour or 2 hours, they'd get up, the back pain is gone that they've had for 30 years, things like that. Much more revelatory, much more satisfying. Still, I kept running into people who I could help them and the problem would recur. I'd help them and the problem would recur. Or I'd work and I'd work and I'd work and I'd work and I wouldn't get anywhere. Some people I couldn't help. And those people generally, not all the time, but generally had powerful emotional problems. They were stuck or depressed or struggling deeply. And I wanted to be able to help them too. I wanted to be able to help everyone. I didn't want there to be some people I couldn't help and some people I could. And that led me to dig deep in my heart and realize that what I've always wanted to do was help people in a simpler, more straightforward, in a way that was less work, in a way that didn't hurt to, when you're working on damaged tissue, it's painful, in a way that was more profound and more transformative. I wanted to help people in what I consider an esoteric way or a magical way. If I was honest with myself, which took some doing, I wanted to put my hand out over somebody and heal them. And for them to stay healed, I wanted a true healing. And the story, the real story, begins there, from the recognition that I wanted something more than I thought was possible, and then the flowering of that into my current life, where I have put out my hands and held them over people and had them be healed, where I have a more real, the most real connection to God, to angels, to my higher self than I could ever imagine, and where I'm able to help people even more profoundly, because it turns out that this feeling of wanting to help people in a really profound way, it doesn't diminish. There's no point when you go, well, I'm helping people in a really profound way, I think I'm done. No, you always want more. We're humans, and it's part of our beauty that we want more, we want better. And that's driven me to higher and higher expressions of aid for humanity and being able to bring through better and better and better for people. So if you're still with me, there's a reason for that. Trust that feeling and get excited. Check out some of the other videos. We're going to pick up from that point in the story. I'm going to channel. I have a lot of guides to call on, a whole bunch of beings that want to share, and I'm excited to let them through for you so that you can hear the wonderful things that they have to say. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I'll see you guys soon.